All right, let's go to Lauren in Denver, Colorado. What's up, Lauren?
Hey, John. Thank you for taking my call.
Of course. Thanks for getting up super early on the western side of America.
No worries. So I am in a situation where I feel like every day I feel like very stressed and anxious, and I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I work full time. My husband works full time. We have two little kids, and it just feels like every week some new negative thing pops up into our life that we have to deal with. And I think it's definitely becoming obvious. Like my husband, he's not stupid. He knows something's wrong. He asks. I sugarcoat it, and we kind of move on with the week. And we were gifted an opportunity coming up where we get to have dinner, and somebody else is watching our kids for us. And he thought this would be a great time for us to have a conversation of like, what do you want? What do I want? What do we want for the future, for our family? And I am just like terrified that he's going to bring it up, that I seem anxious and stressed and he wants to know what's wrong. And I don't know how to communicate that to him. So I was hoping to get your advice on that.
Yes. You just described millions and millions of people. And so thank you for having the courage to call. This conversation, I think, can help a lot of people. So thank you so much. So let's take the reality of stress. Okay. How old are your kids?
3 and 1.
3 and 1. So the call, you feeling stressed to the 3 and a 1-year-old, 100%, hear me say, completely normal. Okay. And like your whole world's exploded. Somebody threw a grenade in the middle of your house and you have a 3 and a 1-year-old and there's insane financial pressures right now, right?
Yes.
And you live in a really expensive part of the country, right?
Yes.
And you and your husband, how long have y'all been married?
Almost 4 years.
Okay. And how long did y'all date before that?
2 or 3 years, I think.
2 or 3 years. Okay. So you got pregnant pretty quick after you got married. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So let's go back to the first few months when it was, we can just do whatever we want, whenever we want. Or maybe there's this moment where you've never been able to just do whatever you want, whenever you want, because you got married and then you got pregnant and then now the train's left the station, if you will. All I have to say is this. The stresses you are feeling are very, very real. Who are we? Is this what our marriage is going to look like? We have sex annually now instead of daily, right? Like all these things shift and change. Yeah. And are you going to go to work all the time? Are you going to get frustrated? Are you going to try to fix it? All those things are real, okay? So I want to say all the stress is real. When it comes to the anxiety, describe that for me. Tell me about it.
So we are on a debt-free journey, and we will be consumer debt-free December 1st. Okay. The reason I think that I have so much anxiety around that is like we're married, we have joint income, like joint checking, all that, but the bulk of that income comes from my paycheck. And so my husband, like if he lost his job, it would suck, but we would survive. Our bills would get paid on time. If I lost my job, that would not be the case. So that part stresses me out and then makes me anxious that like something could happen because I have a very flexible job. I have a work from home job, great employer. My husband does not have that. So if something happens with the kids, like with school starting up, we just found out they won't get a bus. They won't get before school care. There's no after school care because of low staffing. So I have to rearrange my schedule at work. And then that makes me anxious that like, I'm not a good employee. And like, what if I lost my job, but I have to do all these things for the kids because all these services that we were planning on relying on just got taken away.
So you sound like a single mom with 3 kids.
Sometimes it feels like that. And I think my husband knows that and he doesn't like that. He's in the trades and in his industry, it's like fathers don't exist. They just, he took time off. He took a day off when my son had surgery and he caught so much flack from it. I saw the text he was getting from his boss and it's horrible. Like he doesn't get treated well in his job.
He needs to quit that job.
Okay.
It won't cost Joe any money. He needs to quit that job. And he needs to go be around a culture of tradesmen that will love and honor him as a dad and as a husband and as an employee. And they do exist because I know them personally.
Okay.
You want to see a room full of teary, big-bellied, sweaty men? Like get a group of tradesmen in a room when one of their buddies is having a baby. It's one of the coolest things you'll ever see. Or when they all show up to the hospital to be with somebody whose wife just passed away. I've been in there too. It's unbelievable the amount of emotion and love in there. So your husband's, it's not the industry. He's got a crappy situation. His boss sucks. Boss is terrible.
Okay.
He's not on the phone with me, so I'm just going to talk to you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
What you're doing is being dishonest with him. You're not telling him the truth. And what happens is when you don't tell him what you need, what you're scared about, what you're anxious about, and you swallow all that and sit on it, he, like you mentioned, he knows y'all are disconnected. And the problem is he thinks it's him. And a part of it might be him. The fact that he doesn't make enough money and that y'all have a lifestyle that's not sustainable if one of you lost your job, all that kind of stuff. Or that you are having to do all the work you just mentioned, plus laundry, plus keep the kids bathed and do bedtime and all that. But if you don't sit down and say, here's what I need. I need us to reconnect. I need us to figure out what intimacy looks like with a 3 and a 1-year-old. I need you to help me with bedtime. Here's my list of needs. If you don't do that, I think it's just dishonest. It's just not fair.
Yeah.
Right? What is it about your needs that you feel like cannot be told, cannot be said? Is he going to get mad? Is he going to hit you? Is he going to scream? Why won't you tell him?
So he doesn't really get mad. He feels guilty. He has an immense amount of guilt going into the trades. His family was very anti-trades. They looked down on him for it, and I was like the first person to come in his life that was the opposite. I said, I love that you're in the trades. Like, that's huge for our kids to know that they don't have to go to a 4-year traditional college. Like, I love that, and I feel like if I try to explain to him the stress that I have, it's going to go back to him feeling guilty that he'd never finished college, him feeling guilty that he's not bringing home enough money, or that he chose a trade.
Look at the world you've just created. Okay. I'm the first person to tell them that trades are okay and they're noble and they're great. And by the way, they are. And he's not making enough money for me to feel safe at home. And he's so busy that he can't help with anything at home. So you want your kids to like see their dad and be like, you can do anything. You don't even have to go to 4-year college. And by the way, this is going to create a life that makes it really hard for parents to be connected and safe.
Yeah, that makes sense.
See what I'm saying? So you're cheering a football play that's not working. Now, this isn't me bagging on the trades. This is that your husband has picked a company and a group that aren't paying him what he's worth, because the numbers we're getting here on trades are through the roof. What does he do? What kind of trade does he actually do?
So he was a carpenter. Now he's a site supervisor.
Okay. He needs to go get another job.
Okay.
Like ASAP. And a job that doubles or triples or quadruples his income. And here's the hard thing for you as a wife to hear. You cannot solve and fix his guilt. You can only tell him the truth, and with dignity and respect.
Okay.
Okay? You trying to protect him makes you his mother, not his wife.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You trying to and I say this with all due respect, but who wants to sleep with their son? Who wants to sleep with their mom, right? So it creates a really weird intimacy dynamic when he's looking for you to feel less guilty, and you have to pat him on the head and say, it'll be okay. And then he goes to bed after 3 beers on the couch, and I'm just making this up. Who knows? He may be a great guy. But then you have to go figure out how to do laundry. See what I'm saying? Like, it's just none of this is true. And then let me be real honest with you. This ends badly in one of two ways. Mm-hmm. One of you is going to, over time, seek connection elsewhere, whether it's from alcohol, whether it's from a second drink, whether it's from somebody at work that's really funny and thinks you're funny too. That, or what I'm coming to believe is worse, is you'll both find yourselves on opposite recliners staring at a big flat screen TV. And that will be your 40s and 50s and 60s. And then you won't have the energy to roll around with your grandkids. And we'll just call it a life after that.
Yeah, that kind of feels like where it's headed.
Yeah, right? Right? So let's stop that train before it leaves the station. You got a 3 and a 1-year-old. And your husband's actually doing the super right thing, which is, all right, we got a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old. We've been married for like 2 months without being pregnant or with kids. Let's get ahead of this and let's create the marriage that we want. Let's say all the things, how it's going to look. Let's go make that happen. Mm-hmm. And I think it's less about, hey, honey, you need to go make more money. This is you saying, I see is he a hard worker?
Yes.
Is he good at what he does? Is he a good carpenter?
Yes.
Good supervisor, takes care of his men, he loves his guys?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. This conversation looks like this. Honey, I see how good you are with the men and women that report to you. I see how good you are coming in under budget. You're a credible teacher. You're a great carpenter. And where you work, I'm sick of watching a group of people not value you. I'm asking you as your wife to go find somebody who will value you, both financially and your expertise and your most important calling, which is being a dad and husband. You see what I'm saying?
I think that would help.
That's different than, you got to go make more money. Because one of those is like, whoosh, there goes the shame conversation. The other is, hey, we picked this, I'm all in. They don't value you. And I'm tired of seeing the man that I love not be valued.
I think that would help. The one area I'm a little bit concerned on, very early in our marriage, my daughter was 3 months old, and he has a history of job hopping prior to that. He was not great with jobs. He would get, mad at a boss and walk off the job site. And when my daughter was 3 months old, he did that. And it turned into a huge fight, and I accused him of job hopping, and he got a new job and hasn't done that since then. Mm-hmm. So I think it's going to be a new perspective, him hearing me tell him to go get a new job, but I think he'll be happy.
He might, but also he acted like a child. That was a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
Right? That was a third grader temper tantrum. Again, going back to you're a single mom with 3 kids. Mm-hmm. And it may even be that he got into the trades, not because he's got this calling to be a carpenter or a plumber, which is a noble, incredible profession, but ain't going to tell me I'm going to college. I'm going to go do this. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so people in his life might have told him, no, dude, you were put on earth to be a surgeon, or you were put on earth to be a computer programmer. And you ran into a couple of professors that were mean, or you didn't get straight A's, you had to work really hard, or whatever the thing is. And he's like, I'm out of here. Yeah. And he quit that, just like he quit the job site number 1 and job site number 2.
Yeah.
And so there is no shame, none, zero, of saying, okay, cool. I didn't go finish college. I went and ran the trades, and I'm now at the top of what I can do in my area, and I make $33,000, which I don't buy, by the way, but let's just say that's the truth.
Uh-huh.
There's no shame in going back to school. There's no shame in saying, okay, what do we want to do now? Let's pivot. Yeah. Let's do something different, right? You see what I'm saying? And giving him the freedom to do that, but he has to have a job.
Right. That makes sense.
Okay. You cannot allow his, well, I just feel guilty and sad. That's not an excuse. You got to tell him, hey, I can't carry this whole house. And I'd rather be your wife than your mom. Is that cool?
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
Are you going to actually do this, or are you going to chicken out? I think,
no,
honestly,
I'm going to do it because we have the chance.
I think you're going to say none of this stuff. I think you're going to say, no, it's good. I need to get in the gym more. And he'll be like, okay. And then that'll be it.
So normally that probably is how the conversation would go, but because we got this opportunity to go to a restaurant and, there's obviously drinks involved, I'm sure I'd be more likely to actually tell him the truth.
Oh, nothing sounds like romance. Like, I'll tell him the truth when I've been drinking. Way to go, Lauren. That's love, love, love. It's super not, but you know what I mean. So do me a favor, write this stuff down before you go, because you're going to get nervous and you're going to forget, and he's going to make faces, or you're going to see that grimace of guilt, or of, I'm so sorry, I should have been, I know I did. And you need to tell him, hey, let me finish this. And I want you to write it all down, okay? Mm-hmm. And if he's struggling in that conversation, or he hears some things that are hard for him to hear, and he wants to act like a child about it and throw a temper tantrum about it, then I want you to have him call me. Okay? I don't think he's going to, though. Okay. I'm hoping he hears you. Mm-hmm. I'm hoping you can sit down at the table and say, dude, I'm super excited to build a life that we want. That's going to be different than any of our parents had. We're going to make this up, and not as we go, but we're going to plan, and we're going to go get there, and we're going to go make this thing happen. And it's going to start with you going back to school, or you getting a new job where they honor you. I'm going to stop having to do all this work because you're going to be a co-helper in this home, and we're going to get our sexy back. Yeah. And we're just going to make it happen. All right, and hey, I'm going to send you a copy. I'm going to send you 2 copies of Redefining Anxiety, my book on anxiety, and you and your husband can read through it together. And there's got the 3 points there about connection, about being scared, and about autonomy. Like, we're in control of what comes next. And y'all can talk through those things as you build this new life. I'm excited to find out how this conversation goes. Get back in touch with me. Let me know how it goes. I can't wait to hear about it.